It's my favorite evening. I'm pacing around the floor. Got southern woods and waters gonna take me out the door. Got coffee on a perkin. I'm about to have some fun. They'll have my mind chasing some critter on the run. Bring it on, southern woods and waters. Make me hear that sound of a fish that's breaking water or the bawling of some hounds. Make me smell that river mud, feel clean air on my face. Bring it on, southern woods and waters. Show me that special place.
Probably about 11-inch crappie.
Good evening, everybody. I want to welcome each and every one of y'all to this week's edition of Southern Woods and Waters. Tell you, we've got a real fun show for y'all tonight. It's going to be very informative. So if anytime y'all wanted to get out that paper and pad, tonight's going to be one of those nights. I'm joined tonight live in studio with our friend Bobby Gentry. And a lot of you already know who Bobby is. Bobby is with Bobby Gentry's Dale Hollow Guide Service. And if you guys are wanting to go out and have somebody help you get on some smallmouth, Mr. Bobby's the man to call. So, but tonight we're going to be picking his brain, talking about some different baits that he likes to use and different ways that you like to fish them and times of year. We're really going to try to get in depth with some of these baits and tactics tonight for you guys. Bobby's been doing this a long time, and you're really going to be able to help explain a lot of this to us tonight. Let's just kind of start a little bit with you. How long have you been doing this now, guiding full time?
That's been 24 years this year, Brandon, full time. I've done a lot of part-time guiding when I was still working public work, and I used 5 weeks of vacation on guiding. So I mean, it was kind of one of those things. You took a few steps and worked your way in full time. Yeah, been a while. Been a while.
Yeah, 24 years of guiding full time. That's you got a pretty good amount of time on the water.
Show on me, you know. I mean, it's not a real easy job, but you're well rewarded by that kind of work.
That's right. Now, are you mainly on Dale Hollow all the time, or do you cover some other lakes? Or
I pretty much Dale Hollow. I stay on Dale Hollow. I never did feel that I needed to go and guide somewhere else.
Didn't need to, was
Why? Everybody comes to Dale Hollow usually comes back. It's my old saying, chicken or feathers, feast or famine.
Yeah.
That lake is tough, but it's one of the best smallmouth lakes and anymore. Largemouth and crappie too.
Literally in the country. One of the best that you can fish anywhere in the country. I know that just in the last week or two, I've seen a lot of really nice fish being caught on Dale Hollow, and at some of the other lakes, Center Hill. We were talking earlier about that fish that Chris Snow caught today on Center Hill, and I mean,
Snowman, he's on them today.
Snowman's been on for a few days.
He
was in Normandy wearing them out for a couple of days at Normandy, and now he's back at home on Center Hill.
I talked to a buddy coming down the interstate today, and I asked him, I said, Don, I said, how you doing, Big Don? He said, good, man. He said, Normandy's hot. I said, really? He said, yeah, Skillet's getting warm. He said, you know, he's been catching some really nice fish.
Yeah, yeah. What's the water temperature doing on Dale Hollow right now about?
I went out last week and I started seeing this warm up, and I mean, it was really a fairly quick warm up with the rains we had in muddy water. So I found anywhere from 61, 62. Actually, the day before yesterday, I had some 71, 72 degree water back in the shallows.
Some of the pockets and things. Yeah.
So you can find anywhere from the low 60s to the low 70s. I mean, it's in that 10-degree range, depending on where you're at. You know? But mid-lakes, mid-60s.
Now, you were talking earlier, you think some of the fish are spawning right now, most likely is what's going on?
They never, ever really spawn all at the same time.
Right.
You know, we all
just
know
like a deer, a turkey, and that's right.
It's the same thing. None of my kids was born on the due date. They just bam, you know.
Right.
So I can jump around over the lake and I'll find a big female. She's ready to go on, and then I've got others that's locked up tight on the bed. So in the month of April, you're going to have a deep mixture till about the 3rd week. Then they'll go through the spawning and then start getting into
So that's kind of your peak week would be the 3rd week of April. Then is what you kind of go by there.
We had a real early start. We had some really good fishing in March. Last March, I love the last March into the 1st of April. Largemouth were doing fantastic, and of course this virus thing really hurt us a lot.
Yeah.
Just when people would call, I mean, had a lot of cancellations, but some of the days that they really needed to be there, I didn't get to do a lot of trips. I really felt bad for them, but we kind of do what we have to do. You know?
That's right. I mean, that, just like everybody is, you know,
this year,
just doing what you got to do. Now, you mentioned largemouth, and I know spots too, but Dale Hollow's got them all.
Got them all.
And I'm sure with a lot of what we're going to talk about tonight, it'll work for them all.
Absolutely.
I mean,
you can catch largemouth and smallmouth in the same areas. People out there that's been to my seminars that I've done over the years, I've done some for 20 years, pretty regular. And one point I always make is that smallmouth, I put them in a vertical fish versus a horizontal fish, and that's really a lot. The way I describe it is how the fronts affect them, water temperature, how it affects them. They'll move in and out and up and down in the water column, where largemouth sometimes will just lock up.
Yeah, right.
You know, they're a little more lethargic with these drastic changes. But you can target your species by your bait presentation and location.
Right. Yeah, and just maybe they might be right by each other, but you're going to catch a smallmouth one way and a largemouth another way. Is what you're saying, virtually.
The bait selections that I use a bait selection that's going to catch either or. In a guide position like I am, I want people to catch fish. They really targeting smallmouth, but they're not going to turn down a 5-pound largemouth either, are they? No, I've went out some nights and I was glad to get a shellcracker or a bluegill peck. You know, I mean, you're just going to have them days in the real world.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
I mean, you're a fishing guy. That don't mean you got to.
It's not always
you're not taking them out to a stock pond somewhere.
It's not always the perfect day, and I just want my people to enjoy themselves. And we have a lot of good conversations. It's like us, you know, we can sit down and have a conversation about how the hunt's going or how the fishing's going and what baits to use, and you know, it's got its guesswork to it, but you can use an educated guess by experience or talking to someone that's there on a regular basis.
Yeah,
that's
and again,
important.
in 24 years, you've learned to, you know, kind of here's what the weather's doing, what the temperature is. You know, they're probably going to be doing that. At least you've got a good educated guess to get started anyway, you know.
You can see what few baits I've got here on the table. I take my boat and I do what I call my seasonal clean out. I'll have my winter baits, they come out. I go on my pre-spawn baits in through spring season, work my way into my night season. I keep bringing in, taking out, you know.
Yeah. We're looking
tools.
forward to that night season.
We're going to have fun.
I'm ready for that. We're going to have a good time. We're going to bring you guys a show in June. We're going to actually go out and fish with Bobby and do some night fishing on Dale Hollow. And I'm really looking forward to that. That's going to be a big time.
I think I got us all set up, ready to go for that.
Ready to go get some, and we're going to get out there and film it and share it with everybody. We're looking forward to that one. So again, as we go through tonight, we'll talk about some of these baits, different colors. You know, you mentioned spawn baits, you know, pre-spawn, winter, summer. So this is, you're not just going to take the same one out there and throw it in March that you're going to throw in November, you know.
You've got one or two baits you'll use all year round, but most of the time you look at your size, your baits, and the color vary with everything. So.
And you throw a lot of swim baits. You're pretty big on swim baits, and I noticed you got some jigs with you tonight. But is that kind of typically what you're doing?
The swim baits now, I usually like my crankbaits in the spring. They're really fantastic to use. Your crankbaits, jerk baits on windy days. The swim bait, the one reason that I really love a swim bait is because the amount of water that you can cover in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
If I've got you and a buddy out there and you go with me for a day, I'm going to give you what I feel like I've done good a few days ago up to this point, and I'm going to try something a little different, because they will, I promise you, they will change. Yeah,
and it could be on a drop of a hat.
Exactly, and I can cover a lot of water with a swim bait. Then you can go with the A-rigs. You can use a swim on a jig, or have a swim jig with so many options. So
the more water you cover when you're searching, you know, the better off you are. So if you find a fish, will you usually slow up at that point this time of year?
I will slow up a little bit, and they're gonna bite real good for a period of time, and you're gonna have a slow period where that your bite shuts down, and we're like looking at each other, what's going on, and I'll look at the size of bait I'm throwing it, I'll use my electronics religiously because they're going to tell me exactly what's there. You can see if them fish are setting up in the water column, whether they're right out on the breaks, or they've moved up real super shallow.
And once you've got that idea, you can kind of work with that.
Then you can
for
work
the
with
rest of the day.
that. You've got to have a luck factor in there to hold it.
Yeah, everybody take a little luck on their side anytime. Well, guys, we're going to go over and do this week's wild game forecast. Being sponsored by our good friends over at Wilson Bank and Trust. You guys can stop in and see them at one of 28 Middle Tennessee locations. You give them a call for all your banking and financial needs and tell them thank you for everything that they do for us right here at the show. All right, as far as the forecast, we've been getting into a little bit of it with Bobby already. The water's warming up, fish are starting to spawn, everything's going on in the lakes. Seems like every time our water starts to clear up a little bit, we get another big storm or two. You know, we've dealt with a lot of dirty water this year, high water. But things are warming up and everything is happening as normal.
Getting better.
Been hearing some shell cracker reports. You know, it's getting that time too. You know, shell crackers starting to kind of turn on in some of the places. I know on Old Hickory, there's been some shell cracker being caught. You mentioned Dale Hollow. It's just about time for them to start turning on there too.
It's a good time for everything right now. In one sense, you can find your crappie, shell cracker, and your bass, and your walleye starting to
get
bite.
a bait in the water right now. You know, with the turkeys, everything's been going pretty good with the turkeys. I've had kind of a crazy schedule. Have not got to go as much as I normally would have just yet, but that's about to change. Anthony Landers had a couple of successful hunts. We'll be running one of those hunts for you guys this coming week. Birds are talking quite a bit. Sunday morning I heard a lot of gobbling. They're really starting to as we say, act like turkeys. It's starting to get that time of year for them too. So a really good wild game forecast. I know there's a lot going on out there in the world right now, but guys, get out there and enjoy the outdoors, and I tell you, it'll take a lot off your mind. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll have this week's pictures of the week, and we'll have some more Southern Woods and Waters.